You have said that you do not think we were going to leave on the 31st.
Yep, very clearly.
What's the timeline from here as far as you're concerned?
Well, regrettably, the timeline now, given that we're not going to leave on the 31st, is in the hands of the European Union because of the Ben Act, where our Parliament decided it was a good idea to give the decision about the length of any further extension to the European Union. They can decide, and our expectation is they will decide somewhat longer than 3 months. They might decide next June, for example, which ties in with their multi-financial framework. That's up to them. They could even apply conditions like having a second referendum. Who knows? What is clear is that the government will rapidly lose control of events, even more than it already has.
And Boris Johnson doesn't seem to think that's the case. When we continue to get this briefing out of Number 10 that we should expect a messy, but nonetheless a departure October 31st.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I guess...
You just think that's just bollocks?
I'm afraid it's just not happening. In a sense, I think he has to lead that message. He has to try and take his troops up the hill. It's a bit like a general leading his troops. But the reality is that he doesn't have the numbers in the House of Commons. The law is the law. The government has accepted they will abide by the law. And all the suggestion that they've got some cunning plan, forget it. They haven't.
So, and you would say, so you're saying that you think you're going to lose control. What do you think is the best case scenario from here? I mean, something that's actually plausible and could happen, given that we know that anything can happen, really. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, literally anything can happen. But the best thing that happens is that we have an early general election. And what's extraordinary is you've got a zombie parliament that is calling on the one hand for Boris to resign, but the same people won't sack him, right? They've made Boris lose 8 votes out of 8, and yet they won't give a vote to the people. Why? Because actually many of the opposition MPs are petrified that actually there's a real risk they're going to lose their jobs on those comfy green benches. The best case scenario is an early general election. We've made a very generous offer to Boris for a Leave alliance. The Remain side are doing the same thing, which is they're looking at having a Remain alliance, and that will happen. And we will have some form of Brexit-dominated election. But if there's a Leave alliance, we will deliver a majority of between 60 and 100 seats. And my view in life is very simple. And, I'm a businessman like most people here, or woman, sorry. And the reality is if a job's worth doing, let's do it properly. There's nothing worse than a job half done, badly done. So if we're going to leave, we want a clean break Brexit that maximises our negotiating position, it minimises the uncertainty, everyone knows where they stand, and we can get on with our lives and get on with adjusting to a post-Brexit world.